Hello and welcome back to your Find Love, Keep Love programme on this windy day in Worcestershire. I hope you've enjoyed the last 3 modules and that you've managed to find time to create the kind of life that you really, really love. So here it is at last, the part where you get to write your list. Near the beginning of my decade of dating, I was tapping away on my computer feeling very, very single when one of my colleagues asked me a question that shocked me. "Have you written a list?" she said from behind her screen at the far end of the office. Well, for many people, this was the obvious first thing to do when thinking about finding someone to love. But the idea hadn't really occurred to me. Now, perhaps you've even been wondering why we've been asking so many other questions, self-reflective questions first. And many of them don't really seem to be on topic when it comes to romance and dating. We've asked, who am I? Am I open to love? Am I lovable? Do I love myself? Do I love my life? Who else loves me and why do they love me? Do I need to be perfect to be loved, or could I be lovable with my very worst qualities? What would I need to live as fully as possible, to be my very best self? What are my dreams and my aspirations? What's my true purpose in life? Now, if you've been working on yourself for some time already, you'll probably agree with me that reflecting on these questions can help create a really solid foundation for what's to come. Through these questions, we've already increased our self-knowledge, our awareness, hopefully our happiness and our potential for deep fulfillment and satisfaction in our lives too. These questions may have also brought up challenges and fears that we need to confront, maybe hidden obstacles that have been blocking the path to love. So now that you know yourself in a deeper way than before, you may find that things you're looking for also differ. Your list will be different. You love yourself. You're practicing loving the bits of you that maybe you once considered unlovable. And day by day, you're noticing how much more loved you are than you ever realized before. You're loving your life more. You're rising to every challenge and adventure you find. You're creating new habits. You're ditching old ways of being, and you're working on being your very best. And as we've taken this journey, it becomes clearer and clearer that the inner game of love is just as important, if not more important, than the outer game. Creating a mind that's open to love and a heart that's happy is at least as important as knowing how to talk to people, flirt with people, date, all of those skills. So your answers to the questions that we've explored so far have paved the way for solid, stable, lasting love. Each step has given you more confidence. Every exploration has kind of brought up something new, a new perspective, a new aspect of your personality, revealing how beautiful and wonderful and precious you are. You are worthy of a great relationship. And none of this would have happened if you'd merely looked at dating tools and techniques. So this program is about helping you to find love, to keep love, to enjoy a wonderful relationship, not just for the next few weeks or months or even years, but for a lifetime. So after all this groundwork, we come at last to writing the list and a whole host of questions about the wonderful person you want to share this amazing life with. So grab a pen and paper or print out your love guide and answer the questions as honestly as you can. Don't judge it, don't self-censor, nobody's going to read this, just have fun with it. What's important to you about a future partner? If nothing was stopping you having the partner of your dreams, what would he or she be like? And if you were given a magic wand, who would you conjure up to spend the rest of your life with? Think about what qualities you're really looking for in someone you'd want to spend the rest of your life with. Any other qualities that come up? Any other thoughts that come up? Scribble those down too. Write a long list. What values would you like him or her to possess? Now, there's a list of values in your love guide, which is pretty long, not exhaustive, but it'll give you some inspiration. And what other physical and intellectual, spiritual, social attributes, what kind of things would you really like in a lifetime partner? And while you're scribbling, I'll share the rest of my story with you. So my colleague asked, have you written a list? And I thought to myself, gosh, what would I put on a list? It'd have to be manly, poetic, thoughtful or reasonable. It'd have to be creative. It'd have to be interesting. And I got hooked on list making until my list had 52 qualities. And then something surprising happened. I remained single for another 6 years. And it wasn't that I didn't date, I absolutely dated, but nobody could meet that formidable list. And then one day at a party, somebody said to me very kindly, "Kathy, there's one common denominator in all your failed relationships." And I knew that they were right. I knew that I had to do something. I had to make some change if I was going to find the love of my life. So to cut a very long story short, I tore up the list. I paid £600 for some proper relationship help. And very shortly after, I met my husband. And on the day of our first date, he stepped off a train. We looked at each other and I breathed a huge sigh of relief. Now, had I weighed him up against my 52 criteria, I would not be happily married now. I used each one of those fantastic qualities as a brick in my wall against love. I was actually protecting myself, and I kind of became imprisoned inside this fortress of judgment that said, if you don't measure up, you might as well saddle up and ride off into the sunset. So why am I asking you to write your list? Because now I'm going to ask you to tear it up. Now send it off to the universe, make it into a little boat and sail it down the river. Burn it if you like. But before you do that, choose just 3 qualities that are non-negotiable. These are the things you absolutely wouldn't want to live the rest of your life without. They are basic, fundamental standards. They're values. They're the things that maybe they're unique to you, but if you didn't have them in your life, it would be pretty tough. Now, if you don't have 3 on your list, you could end up settling for pretty much anyone you vaguely fancy. If you have more than 3 on your list, you're going to date with a very closed mind. Not to mention the fact that your chances of meeting that person, they diminish dramatically if you extend that list any more than 3. So imagine you meet, say, 100 potential partners in the space of a year. That's 2 a week, a couple of weeks off holidays. How many of those 100 will possess those 3 qualities? Let's say the first quality on your list is they have to be somebody of a particular faith, maybe the same faith as you. Now, what proportion of the people in your contacts are of that faith? Let's say 30% of the eligible people you meet. So your 100 potential partners are suddenly reduced to 30 possible partners. Of those 30, how many will possess the second quality? Let's say someone who makes you laugh. Of those 30 people, maybe half of them tickle your funny bone, make you chuckle. So now we're down to 15 people out of that original 100. Of those 15, let's be generous, let's say 60% embody the final quality, which is kindness, say, for example. Now that leaves you just 9 potential partners, people to meet, to find out if you're attracted to them and if they're attracted to you too. Now, once you add a 4th quality, simple statistics will tell you that you have to meet a huge number of people, even to find one with whom you can have that happily ever after. But I love my list, you say to me. Yes, I agree, but I was a prisoner to my list. Without the soft soil of vulnerability, love has nowhere to grow roots. So we need to be open-minded. Choose your 3 non-negotiables and then tear up the rest of that list. So years and years later, I found my old list. I found it on a computer and I noticed, as if by magic, that my husband actually embodies most of those 52 qualities. So don't worry about getting rid of that list. Think about the values that are essential to you. Make that energetic shift to kind of being secure in yourself, in your life, knowing who you really want to share it with. Be open-minded, be open-hearted as you look for love. And enjoy this module. So thanks for joining me. I look forward to seeing you in the next module.